In a recent survey, 55% of businesses said they believe they have less than 1 year to implement their digital transformation strategy before they start to suffer financially and start to lose market share. That puts into perspective the importance of getting going right now. But where to start and what to prioritize? Let's speak to our first guest. Here to give a senior leadership perspective on how to pivot a large organization such as BT during turbulent times like these, please welcome BT's Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer, Michael Sherman. Michael, hello, how are you today?
I'm great. Hi, David. How are you doing?
I'm very well, very excited by the next hour or so. Pleased you're here. Let's dive straight in because, we want to get as much good stuff out of the hour as we can. Just tell me a bit about yourself, Michael, and about your role at BT.
Yeah, so just a little bit about me that's relevant. I spent about 13 years of my career actually in management consulting, driving large-scale transformations, digital transformation efforts for big telcos and large organizations around the globe. I've been here with BT now going on 2 years, and I architected our new program. We call it Simplify inside of BT, but essentially it is our full end-to-end business transformation, which involves every aspect of our business, including digital tools, skills of the future, ways of working, leadership, everything that you need to actually embark on a full transformation. So we're early days in doing our own transformation, but we're off to a great start, and that's part of what I lead here at BT Group.
So not just the network, not just the technology, but simplifies an holistic approach to transformation of organizations.
That's exactly right, David. And it is our belief that when you talk about success of transformations, these are things that are engaged at the top level of the executive committee, usually with the CEO's endorsement, because without it, many of the things that traditional businesses like BT have to change are just run too deep and are too ingrained inside the business. So they're really hard things to change, but the benefits, once you get through them, are real.
Okay, let's take a step back before we get into those weeds. First of all, digital transformation. I'm pretty sure that everyone watching today will have a different definition of what digital transformation is, but I'm keen to hear what yours is, Michael.
So, the term digital is sometimes a little bit of a buzzword, so we got to deal with that. I mean, we've been digitizing information for quite some time, even going back into the early mainframe systems, which many of us as telcos put in to run our businesses. But what's different now? And the difference for us is the tools, the environments, and the techniques that we can apply to our business are quite profound if we think about them. And it's really the generation that's become used to things like Amazon and next day or next hour delivery service, Deliveroo in this environment, which has become critical to many of us to getting our food supply. But when we start to think about what it takes to actually drive a business like Amazon or Deliveroo, it's reimagining how to use tools to drive automation, business process efficiency, worker efficiency, and effectiveness so that you can run a business that is near real time in terms of its ability to service and meet its customer needs. And that's at the heart of it. Digital is about driving greater efficiency and enabling our workforce to be much more effective at tackling customer problems.
Okay, so yes, efficiency, automation, enabling workforce to be more effective, key components there. We've been asking our audience watching about what they think are the most crucial components of a successful digital transformation journey. And I can see that we have just got some results coming through right now. We've got A, which was 45%, which was, hang on a second, let me just get that. Do you know what? We will come back to that in just a moment, but we seem to have quite a strong leader there. But we'll come back to, it was about culture. That's right, thank you. So 45% think that culture is going to be one of the key components there. I want to come on to that in just a moment. But first of all, when we're talking about digital transformation in large organizations, and you mentioned BT there as an example, There are some different challenges there, aren't there? And, we've all gone through a process of transformation one way or another over the last few months. What are the particular challenges and maybe success criteria for being able to move a larger organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we kind of think about it, the problem this way is there's organizations that have done mass business improvement programs, which are usually in functional silos. And so they'll digitize a functional silo, but the end-to-end experience is never fully digitized to deliver a differentiated model. And so we call that business transformation. And that's not getting to digital transformation. The other aspect of digital is somewhat cultural, but you'll hear these terms like agile transformation and different ways of working. So, in the worst case scenario, it's putting new T-shirts on your staff and telling them they have new roles. So a project manager becomes a product owner and those things, but nothing really transforms. The end experience doesn't change. Either one of those are tools that are needed, but they're insufficient. What we think, and we think is the critical, is you have to align yourself in terms of real business outcomes and objectives. So at BT, an example is we want to reimagine our broadband journey. And so if you were to go today, David, and buy broadband, it may take you 4 weeks if everything is going pretty smoothly for us to go from an order to your order being fulfilled and installed. Well, that in a modern digital world is unacceptable. We are used to next day. So we said, how do we take something and have a business outcome where the outcome is same day, potentially provisioning uptake of a product and service from BT broadband? And that means we have to reimagine the entire thing. Everything that's involved has to be decomposed and reconstructed and reimagined using digital and AI. And that's the key to success, is identifying what outcomes you want from a business and then using the new ways of working and digital tools to get you there. Too many times the landmines we see are people that just try to do digital for digital's sake and never actually link it to outcomes. And those programs and projects usually get killed.
So, I mean, really, it sounds like, digital transformation, business transformation, but the real outcome could be industry transformation. Is if, as a consumer, I get used to, for example, having broadband provisioned on the same day, then that potentially transforms everyone's experience if everyone else then follows. But it's that starting from a blank sheet of paper almost that seems to be the most important thing here, not putting up obstacles that don't necessarily need to be there.
That's exactly right, David. And some of the common pitfalls when you start reimagining that digital experience, common pitfalls come into being. How are we managerially set up to manage work? You have to reimagine that with a digital experience. How do you fund projects and programs? Your financial strategy has to change. That's why we say holistically, if you really go about a digital transformation, the entire nature of your business changes. And as you rightfully pointed out, you can do things good for society because the industry changes and becomes a much better delivery vehicle for customers.
Sure. So let's put this in the context of where we are here, just coming up to the end of June 2020. It's been a few months of turmoil for many individuals, of course, as well as many organizations. But I'm curious to hear what opportunities you see, what we've been through over the last few months, what opportunities that presents to organizations to help them shape whatever their next steps of their journey look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think from our standpoint at BT, what we learned pretty quickly is that we moved from office-based locations to home workers for a lot of our office-based staff virtually overnight. And that was across multiple geographies. So we had large staffs in India and Asia and the United States, and we were able to get them working from home. But it's not as simple as just take your work from home. You actually had to reimagine what was important. And we learned that we could do the same types of work without doing all the bureaucracy that had been built in. And so one of the lessons for a digital transformation is you can actually simplify the process and the way that work gets done so that when you want to automate and digitize, you're not taking all this baggage with you. And that's a lesson that hopefully we don't forget, because you can imagine once we go back to a norm, you could go and put all that bureaucracy back in and then have to digitize it. We hope that people take that lesson to say, you've simplified your business, now digitize it.
Just looking at the results of the poll a few moments ago, about the key components of a transformation culture, right up there at the top, but also scoring very highly. People and expertise, almost a quarter see people expertise managing their skills, managing how they approach this transformation, perhaps trying to make sure they don't feel disenfranchised as a result of that, is also another key element of success.
Absolutely. I do like that people recognize culture first and people and expertise. I mean, the two things to make this work is one, if you keep your old culture, your old way of working, you're just going to find that you may digitize, but you don't actually have a transformative experience in terms of how the work gets done in your customers. So you have to change the culture. Mm-hmm. But with that, you have to recognize that you have a large staff like BT. You have to have training and tools to bring your people along. Managers have to reimagine what it means to be a manager. They're no longer commanders and controllers. They're servant leaders. And those words sound simple, but they're absolutely very tough for a lot of your middle managers to get. So you have to lean in, and some managers won't make the journey, but many can if you have the right training and mentorship and support. And so absolutely, culture and people and expertise matter.
And I think that's one of the challenges that we've seen as many organizations that perhaps weren't so weighted towards a remote workforce now move towards the remote workforce. That's managers having to manage in an entirely different style. That's an entirely different set of challenges for a people manager, as well as for the staff at home who are having to adopt to maybe new lines of commands or new ways of working around some of the challenges of working from home as well.
No, that's absolutely right. And, that's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. And we've taken it as an opportunity to say, since people are already shifting the way they're working, and we have an operating model, a target way we want to work in a digitally transformed org, let's take advantage of this. People are already knowing they're going to learn something new. Introduce the concepts of how to work in agile, flatter teams, more self-empowered teams. And if you introduce these concepts, people quite honestly enjoy the work better, and we find that we get better outcomes.
Super. Just moving on for now, we're talking about digital transformation there, and about it's a reimagining of your business, a reimagining of your customer journey, and knocking down those obstacles. But of course, you work for BT. The role of the network is crucial throughout many transformation projects and programs. So what role do you see the network playing in enabling all of these different types of transformation facets?
Yeah, absolutely. So foundationally, we know that without a quality, reliable, stable network that can scale up and scale down to the volumes of your business plus the end consumers, you're kind of dead in the water. You can't really be digital if people have to go into analog, offline engagement models. So rule one for us is very ubiquitous, highly available, highly reliable connectivity is kind of foundational. But on top of that, once you go into the digital world, if you don't really think about it up front, you'll find out very quickly that security is a big problem in the digital world. There is an infinite number of threats, from rogue nations to the kid next door sitting there hacking, that wants to disrupt your life and disrupt your business. And if you don't take that very seriously, you'll find very quickly that the network, which is your biggest way to avoid the threat, could be your biggest risk factor. So we believe that you have to have a robust network with a robust security wrapper around it to enable a true digital transformation.
Super. Thank you very much, Michael. So just a quick recap on the poll that we were asking about the key component of digital transformation. Lots of interesting stuff there, but I think we both agreed culture, people and expertise being, what was that, almost 70% or so of responses was quite heartening. Budgets at 3%. Technology, only 1 in 5 people feel that is the key. So I think that really does paint a picture, going back right to the beginning of our conversation 15 minutes ago with Simplify, about looking at transformation in a very holistic perspective to make sure that everything is encapsulated, not just the technology.
That's exactly right, David. And too often people go to the technology first. Now, technology can be an anchor if you don't have the right technology, but in of itself, it's insufficient if people aren't really willing to work differently, if you're not willing to engage with your customers differently, you'll still have the same old problems.
Super. Michael, thank you very much indeed for joining us. If you watching at home have got any questions for Michael, particularly on digital transformation, on pivoting large organizations, on making sure the culture is right for that transformation to succeed, then do pop them into the Q&A panel, and we'll get through as many of them as we can in our Q&A session later on. I'll speak to you later on, Michael.